Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So this week's project was somewhat impromptu and completely driven by my unwillingness to give in to predatory game marketing. You might have heard of the game Fall Guys. Well, it was recently released on the Switch and I thought, why not? Let me pick it up again. It was a fun game I used to play now and then, but I haven't really gone back to it in the last 2 years, just sort of stopped playing really. However, when I logged back in again after all this time, I saw they were offering the Pusheen skins and I immediately wanted them. But then I looked at the in-game store, looked at my star total, and I died a little bit inside. I mean, there was no way I was going to be able to complete the season pass in 4 days. And to make things worse, there's not even enough stars in the season pass. I see what you're doing. Putting the skins up for a limited time to create fear of missing out and psychologically pushing people to spend real money to get in-game cosmetics is just... Anyway, how to handle DLC in games is a conversation for another channel. I personally wasn't going to bend this time, and they didn't take into account my yarn, my crochet hook, and my very stubborn nature. Admittedly, this video is going to be a bit of a speed through since when I was working on this project, it was right in the middle of the heat wave we were having here in the UK, and the temperature got to such levels that I couldn't sit under the hot studio lights anymore. So my apologies for that. Anyway, long intro aside, let's get right into it. As usual, I started off with the legs. Now, I do realise that they do look a bit long, but I wanted my Fall Guy to look like a person wearing a costume. Plus, I needed the support of the longer legs to support the structure of the body later on. The legs can be shortened, so it's not really a problem at this point. I was kind of free crocheting here too, looking at reference pictures and trying to figure out the scale as I went. I was basically aiming for the shape of an elongated tic-tac, or as the Fall Guys are called, beans. But yeah, I go with tic-tac because tic-tacs are symmetrical. For the arms, I started off with a round fist since the Pusheen skins have no fingers and are more like mittens. I then added the toe beans, which were simply circles, and decided on a heart shape for the paw pad instead, just to personalize it even more. I had to make the tail with a slightly lighter grey because I didn't have a darker shade of grey in stock, and there was no way I was going to go to the shops in that completely sweltering heat. But as it turns out, where I'm going to be displaying the Fall Guy, I won't be looking at the tail anyway because it won't really be visible. If the tail was going to be visible, then yes, it would absolutely bother me quite a bit. But in this case, ignorance is absolutely bliss. I actually ended up having to modify the tail because the first attempt I created was a little bit too long. So I shortened it, stuffed it, and it was ready to go. Time skip time. Well, I crocheted most of this off camera for reasons stated earlier, and the markers I placed served as rough guides for the arm placements and the divide between the top and bottom half of the body. From these markers I could then figure out the placement of the face and the tail. Since this feline bean, well, tic-tac, is bigger than my usual amigurumi, I really needed it to have a firm core to support the insane amount of stuffing it would require. For this, I used cardboard loo roll cores to fill in the void basically. I started out with cutting them all in half and rolling them into each other while securing with hot glue every so often. I had to be careful not to make it too wide since layers of batting would later go around it and that will also bulk it even more. I then covered it with cling film, and yes, I know this isn't really waterproof, but again, this is for me, and unless I do something really stupid like put it in the washing machine, it'll be fine. I'll come back to the body later, so instead I next crocheted the faceplate in white. This is a circle with a colour change on the last round so that it can blend in with the colour of the body. For the half closed eyes, I did a few rows and then slip stitched around the perimeter to give the oval curve at the top of the eye and then the flat edge at the bottom. I also ended up having to redo the faceplate because it was slightly too big and I didn't love the eyes. The half closed eyes were absolutely annoying me and I hated them so much. So I instead ended up having to use the oval eyes that I have in stock, and I thought they looked much cuter, and it's better to have the full eyes open anyway, because I just thought if I'm going to be staring at this thing for a long while, I want it to please me. So for the ears, I had actually planned to crochet them entirely with the body without having to do the ears separately, but in the end I decided that was not going to happen. It just wasn't going to work properly, so I ended up having to make the ears separately in the end anyway. The whiskers I ended up using just chaining a few stitches and then slip stitching back and then stitching them onto the head. You can of course use pipe cleaners. I think I was thinking of using pipe cleaners, but then the crocheting worked, so it wasn't too bad because the whiskers aren't actually that long. So all that was left to do at this point was the surface details, which I mainly accomplished using surface crochet and embroidery. And there we have it. Now all I need to do is throw it down some stairs or drop it in a pit, swear a little, and it will be just like the game. If you're still here, thank you very much for sticking with it. Thanks for watching, and as always, please share, comment, and even consider the subscription button if you'd like to see more. Don't forget to yeet that bell button to be notified when I upload a new video, and get ready to fall into the beauty shots. See you in the next one. Bye!